How's it going, everyone? It is so good to see all of your beautiful faces today. Of course, I can't see you. I'm currently talking to a camera. So, joining me today is Emeka from One Africa Project and Moye from My Dear Africa. He will be joining us very shortly today. And you guys should definitely check out their channels. I am a big fan of both of them. They release very awesome content in regards to Africa. And you definitely enjoy their channels if you do enjoy watching any of my channels. So our topic today is in regards to why African leaders tend to overstay their welcome. We see on a lot of occasions where we have a coup in several African countries, and following that coup is, the military stating of how this is just a temporary occupant, that they're just temporarily occupying the government, and they plan on, staying until they can establish fair democratic elections, and that tend to be the opposite, and they tend to overstay their welcome. A perfect example of this is the recent elections in Uganda, and we'll be going a little further in detail in regards to this topic. There's actually a term for this whole scenario called third termism, which is defined as the phenomenon of leaders seeking to break constitutional term limits, usually set at 2 terms in office to secure a third term. This has been a scenario for a lot of different African countries, and we'll be going into a little more detail in regards to that. You guys are free to definitely join in to the conversation. African countries, pardon me there. You guys are definitely free to join in the conversation. I would love to have you all here. This is my community as much as it is yours. I'm here to learn from every single one of you. I see a couple of us here. Wow, we're 10 already. I am really excited to have you all here. I'm going to be posting the link to the StreamYard very soon. And Mika, I'd like to start with you. Just a quick question. Why is it that African leaders tend to overstay their welcome?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Emeka. Can you all hear me, first of all?
Crystal clear.
Am I audible enough? Okay, my name is Emeka. I'm from Nigeria, and my YouTube channel is One Africa Project. And my aim is to educate, inspire, and unite Africans through history, culture, and travel. So yeah, it's good to be here. And to your question, why do African leaders stay in power? Well, I think it boils down to two things, as I've said in my previous interviews and videos. It boils down to personality, and then the system in Africa. I think personality has to do with greed, and selfishness of these individuals who occupy those positions of authority. And then the second one is how Africa has been set up. I believe that I think Africa has been set up to fail right from inception. So the policies in different African countries were not made in favor of the people right from inception. And then the personal greed, let me just take that one. The personal greed is, these people come into power maybe with an expectation to do something. Then when they get there, there's a policy already in place for them to follow, a set of rules made by the powerful people of this world, people who control the whole world and our continent. So they have a choice either to stand for the people or follow the same rule, right? So some of them, because of greed and because of what they would get, the benefits, they oppose their people and follow these terrible rules that stands for exploiting Africa. And that is how you see they end up spending longer terms and just keep changing the constitution to continue their exploitation and helping the people they are helping to exploit Africa. One of the examples we can look at is Thomas Sankara. When he got to power, within 4 years, he stopped foreign aids. He began to, in fact, before he got to power, Burkina Faso was in famine. They had no food. And then he looked and said, "What can I do for my country? We have cotton. So why can't we just grow our cotton and empower our farmers?" And that was what he did exactly. He empowered the farmers and they grew cotton and they began to make made in Burkina Faso clothes. So from the planting to the processing to making the clothes were in Burkina Faso. So the value chain, they weren't just exporting the cotton. So they added value and they began to make clothes in Burkina Faso, and it improved the life of the people. And within 4 years, they moved from famine to they had the food security. They had a lot of food. They began to construct their own railway. So all of these things, the people who set up the continent to fail, they were not happy with it because Burkina Faso was going out of their grip. And once it goes out, other African countries will begin to copy that style. So what did they do? They sponsored a fellow African, Thomas Sankara's best friend, to kill him, and he was killed. And as I speak to you now, Burkina Faso is in famine again in 2021. So all of the progress that Thomas Sankara was making at that point was cut short because the system was set up to fail. And because he was not greedy, he wanted to stand for his people, but somebody killed him. So the man that killed him stayed in power for 27 years because he aligned himself with the policy against the people. Do you get what I'm trying to say now? So he stayed in power for so long until he was chased out of power by the people, and he died in exile. Do you understand? So when we
Okay, I think Omeka just went offline there for a bit. I'm sure he'll be back. But in a previous conversation that we had with Omeka, he also talked about how Thomas Sankara, changed the name to Burkina Faso, if I'm not mistaken. I've forgotten the name of the country. Was it
Copper Volta?
Yeah, Volta, and he changed it. Cup of water, and he changed it to Burkina Faso, which translates to the land of upright men. Emeka, you can continue.
Yes, I'm sorry, guys, I went off. So because he stood for the people he was taking out. So the guy that came after him, the guy who actually killed him, stayed for 27 years, very long, and he embezzled the country's wealth, and he was chased out, and I think he's still in exile currently. He can't enter the country. So the point I'm trying to make is that if we have people who are upright, like Thomas Sankara, who don't put their personal interest first, they can decide to go against that policy, that exploitative policy against people of Africa, and decide to stand for the people, although their life may be on the line. But then that is what leadership is all about. It's about sacrifice. So if you have people of character like Thomas Sankara, then we won't have people who are staying too long in power. And then the second thing I mentioned is the policy. The people who set up Africa set it up to fail. So they already have like a laid down procedure, a rule that leaders should follow. So these people leaders aren't actually our leaders. They are stooges serving a certain interest. Take Paul Biya of Cameroon, for example. He's been there for 37 years. And at this point, Paul Biya cannot even come out to address the people anymore because he's too old.
Yeah.
But Paul Biya is there because France wants him to be there. As long as Paul Biya is there, France would continue to have access to the resources of Cameroon, their oil and other resources. So you see that the system, was set up to fail. You understand? So once we have who are willing and ready to go against the system, we wouldn't have people who will stay long in power until they die, like Museveni is currently doing in Uganda. Thank you.
Like I ask myself, so where is, all the patriots? Because we come online, we see everyone, everyone is patriotic towards Africa, and a lot of people want the best for Africa. But, like, unfortunately, our leaders it seems like that is the contrary of what's going on. There seems to be a fundamental disconnect between what the people want and what these actual leaders do. And my theory in regards to that is if we look back during the course of colonization, the way it was structured was through proxies where the colonists, right, Europe, will assign their own African leaders to pretty much lord over the rest of Africa, to lord over their many citizens. And that seems to be the case of what's going on here. The honest truth is these elections are fraudulent. And everyone knows that. And I just think, this is just a continuation of this proxy leadership in which a lot of countries in Europe assigned their own leaders in Africa to continue. We can see in several different countries in which there was an intervention in their election or in which a leader got assassinated through the aid of a lot of Western different countries. And Emeka, you also mentioned the point of Africa being set up to fail. And I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. Africa definitely was set up to fail. So for example, in Congo, 1960, when Congo gained their independence, there was only 16 college graduates in Congo. A country of 50 million people, there are only 16 people that graduated from college. And in other African countries too, Guinea, for example, not even just Guinea, every single Francophone country, documents were burnt, buildings were torn down, and there was really no data, no paperwork in regards to the country. There was no fundamental data that the country had to move forward. They didn't know how many people were in the country. They didn't know the different ethnic groups. They didn't know the geography of the country because everything was either taken back to Europe or completely burnt down. Bonye, I also like to direct this question to you to get your opinion in regards to why African leaders overstay their welcome.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So first of all, thank you, Akin, for setting this up. It's a good discussion to have. I want to say that I agree with what Emeka said earlier on. However, I want to come at it from a different point of view because where I come from, we have a parable. I love parables, by the way, and I will explain it. Where I come from, we have a parable that says, if someone sees a comfortable environment to take a poo, he will put both of his hands on the ground. Back in the day, we take a poo like in the farm and stuff. If you're in an environment that is not nice, you're just going to do it quickly and run away. But if you find a nice environment that is clear, you put both of your hands, you will balance well and have the poo. Yeah? Those of you that grew up in Africa, you might not get this, but now you know. So we have a parable that says, if someone finds a comfortable environment, they will balance and have a pool. Now, why am I saying this parable? Is because our African leaders are finding those environments very comfortable. They are finding it very convenient for people to stay. They are finding it very convenient to stay long. The seat is not hot. The seat is actually cold. Let's say it's lukewarm. So it's very comfortable for them to stay forever. Now, the point I'm getting at it from is, yes, Africa was set up to fail. Yes, those leaders are not actually leaders. They're just businessmen and figureheads put in by foreigners. We know that. But I think we should also look at it from the point of our own responsibility. At the end of the day, the power resides with the people. And it takes the people to rise up to demand change. See, around the world, in America, in UK, everywhere else, there's no leader that actually gives you what you deserve or goes in there to naturally do good per se. Yeah, many of all these politicians you're seeing, they are all sponsored into those positions, including the US and the UK, by business people, by big companies and all those kind of. So they're actually there to please those people. They only give to the people what the people absolutely demand everywhere in the world. So I think in Africa, we should also take responsibility as individuals. As much as the problems Emeka said are there, I agree with that 100%, I think we should also make it uncomfortable for people to even think of third term. Why should a leader, I know back in the day, Obasanjo was even almost going for third term in Nigeria. Why should a leader even feel comfortable telling us that they want to go for third term? Because they should already know what we will say. As a leader, you can feel the pulse of your people. You can know what kind of, if they're being honest with themselves, and know kind of how people will behave. Don't think these people are not stupid. You don't become a president of a country by being stupid, trust me. They might act to you, they might look stupid, but trust me, they are not. They're intelligent in evil, but at least there's a lot of intelligence in that. You don't become even a councillor by being stupid. Yeah, there's a lot of politicking, a lot of maneuvering, a lot of networking involved to get to those positions. If you think it's a lie, you try and go and contest for any position and see, let's see how far you can go. So what I'm saying is that these people are not stupid. They know the pulse of the nation. And yes, they are backed by people. But at the end, just like we can see in many African countries, how did these people who were staying forever, how did they finally go? Because there was an uprise. The people stood up and said, enough is enough. That's why I was very happy in the case of Nigeria, for example, where that NSAS happened, because many of us were already giving up hope that, you know what, Nigerians are not ready for change, we're not ready to have a revolution, we're not ready. But that NSAS gave us an example, it gave us a glimpse into what is possible, not just in Nigeria, but in many African countries. And I mentioned Nigeria. Nigeria obviously is the most populous country in Africa, and a lot of things that happen there can form inspiration to many other countries. That's why I keep referring to Nigeria. And in Uganda, which is the topic of today, is similar. The present president is finding it rosy being there. If he's not finding it rosy being there, he will not be there. If the people actually rise up and fight against it, he will not be there. Yes, the individual can have greed. Yes, the individual can become power drunk and all that kind of stuff, but that is even most of human nature anyway. Even for those who go, you will know that many people are naturally greedy, many people naturally like money, many people naturally like authority. The only thing that keeps us in check is law and order and how the people will react. Many of us, the way we behave now, we are kept in check because me, for example, even at my age, I will still think, what will my mother say? How will my mother react? It's similar. All Africans will think, how will the people react? I think these people are finding it very comfortable being in those places because we are not standing up to them. And I know we can go around, and sometimes it's a bit of the case of the chicken and the egg, which one comes first, because I know they hold us down with poverty. They hold us down by ensuring that we don't have enlightenment, we're not exposed, so it keeps us timid. But I think if we approach it from the extent of educating each other, helping each other, which is what I think, like for 3 people right now, this is what our channels are about, is about educating people, because people who are educated will make it uncomfortable for those bad leaders to stay so long. So that's the angle I want to approach it from. I can't get into their mind I can't make them good. The next leaders are probably going to be worse than the current ones. Since I've been born, like in Nigeria, for example, that I know very well, every leader has been worse than the previous one.
That's true. Very true.
Is it really going to, are they even listening to me? No. But I can work on you that is listening to me now. You can work on me, and we can talk, and we can try to be enlightened enough to make it uncomfortable for evil to occur. They say that evil occurs because good people. So these people are only able to stay there comfortably, put their 2 hands on the floor, and stay 30 years because the place is comfortable. If it's uncomfortable, see, the Western world, France in some cases, Britain in some cases, they don't care about these leaders, you know. They only use them as tools. So if we, the people, rise up, these Western worlds will even turn against those their stooges, because France only cares about their interests. If they see that the people are beginning to rise up in Cameroon, for example, genuinely rising up, yes, they will try initially to resist it. But if they see that this is a movement they can't fight, they will turn against Biya and go another way and find somebody else. It's only because they've not seen a proper uprising, that's why they're assisting with somebody else to them. So that's the angle I want to kind of look at it from our own personal responsibilities.
Emeka, you want to go for the question on the screen? Can the common man rise to be a leader?
Okay, I think I'd like to react to what Mose said. Okay, but then let me answer the question. Of course, anybody can rise to be a leader in a sane society, but I'm sorry to say that at the level we are right now in different African countries, is practically almost impossible, because I would take Nigeria for example. The people who have been in top position in Nigeria since independence, they've all been the same set of people with just different faces and different parties, but it's basically the same set of people with the same interest, with the same agenda. So it's almost impossible for a commoner, for anybody to just come from nowhere and become a leader. But then, I mean, we can try, right? So, like, let's say, for example, in Uganda, 10 years ago, Bobi Wine was just a musician, right? He was just a musician doing ghetto song. But then, he came from a ghetto, actually. In fact, in Uganda, they call him the ghetto president, because he came from the parliament, from the ghetto to the parliament. So 10 years ago, Bobi Wine was just a ghetto child doing his music. But then he had an awakening. He saw the opportunity of using music to pass information to the people. Just like Fela said, music in Africa should be for revolution. Yes, we should have fun and all of that, but there's time for everything. At this point in Africa, we should have more of revolutionary music to awaken the people's consciousness. Just like the way my friend was saying that people allow them. It's because people are not conscious enough. But I will get back to that later. So Bobi Wine rose from just being a ghetto singer to somebody to someone. Hello.
Sorry for the feedback. Go ahead, Emeka.
Okay, to somebody who began to sing about the government, conscious songs, and all of that, and that was when he became a target for the regime, because he began to awaken the people's consciousness. when they listened to his song, they began to question certain things that were like normal to them before. And then he said, okay, since I can I have this influence, why not let me just get into office? And that was how he ran for parliament, and he won the election hands down. He won with a landslide victory. So yes, it's possible for a commoner to become a leader. And Bobi Wine is showing us that it's possible, but it's difficult in our society today in Africa, but it's definitely possible. And today, Bobi Wine is ran for the president of Uganda, and to everything we saw, he actually won the election. To everything we saw, but because we have somebody who is in power who doesn't want to leave, and he lost, unfortunately. So it's possible for a commoner to rise from the ghetto to become a president. It's very, very possible, even though there are a lot of challenges, but yeah, it's possible.
What an oppressive government. Not even just the Ugandan government, but we also saw a similar scenario in Nigeria with Sowore being very vocal against the atrocities and enormous corruption going on in the Nigerian government. And how many months was he jailed for? And it took public outcry to release him. I definitely do side with that. It is possible, but man, it is very very difficult. I love Africa. I would love to have you as part of this
I like
conversation.
to
Go ahead.
I like to react to this. This person said it's the population of the people who supply support that makes the man or woman a leader. I think we are getting something really, really wrong. And I think we are like blaming the victims. People who are actually the victim, just like my friend Osei said, we are blaming the victims of people who are oppressed. It's like they are happy with the regime. It's just like in Uganda. You think the people are happy in Uganda? Do you think they're happy with what is going on in Uganda? Only in September, 50 people died when they were protesting because of Bobi Wine. Do you think they are happy about it? They are not happy about it. They are doing something about it. But the regime is so oppressive and so powerful that they've beaten fear into the people. And they've used poverty as a tool to keep the people down. The people need to rise up, yes. And that is why we are having this kind of conversation. That is why we are all making conscious videos. If we could be out there making comedy, funny videos, right? But we chose this path because we want the people to wake up, to understand that they've been oppressed for too long. The people cannot do anything if their minds are entrapped. Do you get it now? It's not as if people love it. But this thing is systematic. So it's not that the population supplies support for Museveni. From everything we saw, people voted against Museveni, but he rigged himself in. That was why he shut down the internet on the election day.
Yeah.
That was why he spent 22 million US dollars to buy biometric machines, and which he didn't use because he wanted the election to be a fraud. Do you get it now? So a lot more than, in fact, more than Nigeria. They came out massively to vote for Bobi Wine, and they stood by their vote, even at gunpoint. People are doing a lot. It will take some time, but please, I want us to stop this attitude of blaming the victim. People who are actually, it's like telling a rape victim that why did you wear such clothes? Why you should blaming the rapist, not the victim? So please, Africans are victims here. The people who are the terrible ones are the people who are oppressing us. Do you understand now? So yes, we the people need to do enough, but then it takes people like you and me to keep preaching that message of consciousness. When the people are fully awakened, then nothing can stop the revolution. That's it.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Moye.
Yeah, so what I just wanted to say to that is, there's a thin line between blaming the victim and awakening the victim. Now, when, like from what I said, that the people need to rise up, obviously, is not to blame the victim at all. All I say generally is about awakening the victim. Sometimes someone needs a kick for them to go into action, including myself. Sometimes somebody close to me, somebody that loves me, needs to tell me, guy, you need to wake up. They're not necessarily blaming me for my situation. Then they're telling me what's up so that, I can be challenged. So we need to, I think that's another thing, like within us Africans, sometimes we kind of sometimes take criticism as bad. There could be constructive criticism where someone gingers you to say, guy, you're messing up, or guy, you are asleep, wake up. It doesn't mean that they're blaming you for your situation, or maybe you are broke or something. They're telling you, why? There's so much opportunity, guy, wake up, let's go. It's not blaming. There could be the extent, if I go with your analogy of a rape victim, if you say, oh, you shouldn't have worn those clothes, clearly that's blaming the victim, that's wrong. But there could be also the situation where you say, okay, it's happened, you must report it. Because as we know, I know we're not talking about that, but I just want to go with that analogy. As we know, many people don't report it when it happens because they think, oh, what's the police going to do? Nobody's going to do anything and stuff. But for me, I will insist, just report it. At least you've done your part. Don't tell me, yes, I understand they might not do anything. Just do your part, report it. If they don't do anything, there's nothing you can do about that. You've reported it, move on. But if we say, you know that if you report it, the police won't do anything, nothing will happen, let's not. No, I think that we don't need that. We need to, let's just keep reporting. If they don't do anything, I can't do anything about that one, but I can speak up. Just like the videos you make, just like the videos I make. I can't go and change many things myself, but I can provide some enlightenment from my point of view. I have done my part. So when we say that, yes, of course, we shouldn't blame the victim. I agree with you 100%. But we should, at the same time, try to awaken that victim some things that they can do to gradually effect change. So, for example, if like we're having a protest, many people amongst us will still say, are you the only one? Won't you go home? This protest now, what will lead it to? During the NSAS, many of us were saying that this, at the end of the day, what will lead it to? No need. Many of us. Now, I know it could be level of enlightenment, but we should stand up to those people and say, no, even if it doesn't lead to anything, at least let it be an example in history. It might not lead to something wrong. It might be 10 years' time, people can look back and say, 10 years ago, these people rose up. Maybe we can rise up again. Because, like if you are hitting a rock, it might not crack the first time. You hit it the first time, maybe you leave it. 40 years will come again, hit it. It might be the 10th time that it will finally crack. So, yes, I agree with you. Let's not blame the victim. We are trying, but I strongly think we need to try harder. If we, you know what, we are saying for protest, for example, we all will continue to protest until something happens. We will not leave the streets. That is a sacrifice. We need big sacrifice. I don't think we're doing enough, personally. The citizens of Nigeria, citizens of Uganda, the whole Africa as a whole. I think we like enjoyment too much, if you ask me. That's not, and this includes me, because I could be on the streets right now. Do you get what I mean? So I think there's a lot more between you. We could be passing more messages. We could be having conversations such as this. So just today, for example, let me give you an example. I don't know if you know about Clubhouse. I was in a Clubhouse room and they were talking about solutions to Nigeria's problem.
That is an interesting conversation to have in the Clubhouse room.
Yeah, I was so happy when I saw that. Do you know why? Because 90% of the other rooms I see is all for rubbish. When it's all for play, just vibes, let's just groove, let's just vibes. hardly will you see a serious conversation of people who need those serious conversations going on. So I was so happy when I saw that room to say, wow, this is the first time I'm seeing like a serious room, or maybe I need to expand my interest or something. But this is the first time I'm seeing a serious room like this. So we need to do more, whether it's conversations like this, whether it's making videos, whether it's protesting, whether it's writing stuff. I think we need to do more. I don't think we should pat ourselves on the back that, oh, do we don't love what's going on? We're trying. I don't think we're trying. I think we need to try harder. Yeah.
This is definitely
I get your point.
many conversations. Go ahead, Emeka.
Yes, I get the point he's trying to make. So yeah, I agree with him completely.
I love Africa, a beautiful name. Would love to hear what you have to say. Feel free to.
Okay.
Hi, it is so good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be able to express myself. So I wanted to talk about like the representation of the Black community, especially in movies. There's a lot of movies representing the Black community. Those movies create some problems and they also resolve some problems. But some of the problems they create are not necessary. Like when you watch a movie that is supposed to represent the Black community, one of the major problem is is the fact that they always wanna put the light skinned people as a superior, kind of like superior. Like when you watch a movie and they like when artists, like I'm not gonna say any name, like when they start saying that dark skinned people are less beautiful, is impact a lot of Black people. I don't remember where I saw the video, but I remember saw a video about they showing some kids a black dog and a white dog. They asked the kid which one is more pretty. The kid said the white one because it's white, and black and dark skin is ugly.
I love
I was
Africa.
shocked.
I apologize, but I'll have to cut you short there. I've definitely seen that video that you were talking about, which is gonna be an inspiration for a subsequent video that I'll be making, hopefully within the next few months. But I apologize to cut you short here. I would like us to keep the conversation within the topic. That is definitely a very, very good topic for another video. I'm glad to have you here. Kadiri, I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's okay, sir. Kadiri.
Kadiri. Oh, God, have to put the accent to that too. Kadiri. Where's that from? Where's that from?
Ibadan, Yoruba.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Kadiri.
Yeah, so thank you for opening this conversation. Thank you for giving us like regular people the platform to just come and air their opinion. So concerning the topic, why are African leaders refusing to leave? Well, this is something that we are not new to. It did not start today. It has been happening for a long time. Our parents can remember something similar, and someone was asking, can the common man rise to become leader? I mean, back then it was a little bit more possible. Now it's going to be more difficult because of, corruption has been increasing. Just as time goes on, it's getting worse and worse. It's not getting any better, like someone just mentioned. Now, one of the two reasons I think why they refuse to leave, or three reasons, is because we, the people, don't know how to change it. We don't know what we can do here and there to change it. That's one. Two is the greed. Someone also mentioned greed, which is a very real thing, because these politicians, it's it's about the money to them. It's all about the money
and the power
and the power that comes with that, the influence. It's about the money. Many of these people, when they have children, they send their children abroad. Their children are abroad studying. They take the money that's supposed to be for public funds and, for all of that infrastructure. They take the money, they build refineries in other countries, and they take resources like oil from Nigeria, for example. I'm using Nigeria as an example, and I'm sure someone from Uganda can relate to this. They take the thing over there and they charge their own country. They take the money, take the profits for themselves, and they keep building generational wealth for, I don't know how many years of generational wealth they want to build. That is not enough. It is never enough for these people. That is what we need to understand. We know that we see, if you see Nigerian newspaper, you know that how many politicians have they caught with houses filled with just money. These are houses dedicated to
money in the gutter, money in the sockaway, money
everywhere. In Ghana, there's money. Yes, so
money rots too. They find a lot of rotten money.
Exactly. So there's this thing, and then let's not even get into I believe some of them are even turning into animals now to swallow money, because that is another situation. We've seen these things. A snake came and swallowed how many billion? I'm like, how does the snake know what that money is worth? So this is how greedy they are. They are willing to use witchcraft to take money. So greed is one thing. Once they've tasted that power, I don't know if they think they will be poor if they leave and they allow another person who actually wants to do something. I don't know if that's what they think, that they can't make money or they can't be financially stable if they do not, stay in political power. So that's the greed aspect. And then another aspect is the foreign aspect, because we can't talk about politics in Africa without talking about the impact of, Oyibo people there. So I personally think this, I don't know, many people may not agree with this, but I personally think that Oyibo people have a very, very direct hand in selecting who rules what country, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, because that is where you don't see them putting their business in North Africa. They don't care because there is no resources there. The people there are technically Oyibo people.
No,
they don't look anything like us.
They're Arab.
Exactly, they're Arab. They don't really care. You see them, they may quarrel with Saudi Arabia, but they don't bother. They may quarrel with all those areas, but they don't really bother. It is us. That is where all the foreign aid is coming from, and all of that. So they personally decide, they say, okay, we want some, because they will not let someone who will not protect their interests as Europeans to rule the country, because it is very easy. Exactly. Someone said many leaders are puppets for the West. It's true. And I believe Buhari is, I'm going to use Nigeria again as an example. I believe Buhari is a puppet leader. Someone that spent the first leg of his of his tenure jumping from hospital to hospital for treatment. I'm like, uncle, if you are sick, go on. So somebody at your age is supposed to be relaxing somewhere and enjoying the rest of your life. At that age, you want to be running about ruling the country. Somebody that is almost 80, as old as some of our grandparents. You're supposed to leave the seat for someone. And we all know that Buhari has ruled Nigeria before in the military regime. That one did not that one no do one. So the guy, now wants to come and rule again in the democratic regime. And I personally think that the West has a hand in keeping these kinds of leaders. Look at Tanzania, for example. They wouldn't want African countries to have a president like John Magufuli, because he is saying no to a lot of things, that, people are just going along with. In Tanzania now, there is no corona. They are not killing themselves on top of it. Their president, he did his own research. If we can remember, he's thinking for himself. He's thinking for himself, and he's saying things that are making these people, uncomfortable. Now they are moving, they are trying to ostracize Tanzania from, nobody should go there, don't have anything to do with them, because they said no to the big dogs, because they are saying no, they are rejecting them. So if these leaders are, if our leaders are not, if our people are not pressing pressing them to do the right thing, there's only so much we can do, because in Nigeria, our problem didn't start today. But Uganda, if you ask me, Uganda has more of a chance to, to do a little bit better for itself, because it looks like things are going to take off in East Africa first before it takes off in West Africa.
Thank you so much, Kadiri, for your contribution. You mentioned that you think the Nigerian government is a puppet to the West, and I would like to confirm that I definitely second with that. I do believe that, and the reason why I believe that is through the recent NSARS movement. I remember on the next morning I was very, very sad. I haven't been that sad in a very long time. And I was asked what about the UN? What is the UN doing? Because this was pretty much a live broadcast of people being massacred in Syria. And Theo, thank you so much for waiting. I'll have you in very soon. I apologize for the wait. And when I was asked, so are they calling in the UN? I laughed because the UN, I mean, there is. So if this does happen, assuming we're in a perfect environment where Africa isn't being controlled, of course you expect the UN to come in, but that of course was something that I didn't think. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe I should tell you something about the UN.
Go ahead.
Patrice Lumumba, the first Prime Minister of Congo, invited the UN forces to help him because of the uprising. And Patrice Lumumba was assassinated right in the presence of the UN forces. So what do you say about that? There's no UN. As long as it comes to Africa, there's no UN. We are just a raw material hub of the world. So what was Patrice's offense? He said that the resources of Congo should be for the Congolese and for Africans. That was his only offense. And Belgium, the USA, and other European countries ganged up with what's the name now? Somebody should remind me of that man who was used. A fellow African.
Mobutu
Sese Seko.
Mobutu, okay.
And yes, and they had Patrice Lumumba assassinated. And also the same man, Mobutu, went ahead to spend decades in power. So I want you to see the trajectory. Once they take out people who are revolutionary, who have the vision for the people, they put in the puppets who will spend decades in power, flying private jets and building houses everywhere and just taking the money. And when Mobutu was in power, they gave him access to loans. He was just taking loans and just embezzling the loans and putting people of Congo in debt. So it's the same story almost in all African countries. The same story, when you look closely, is the same story, almost everywhere. So you see that they're just puppets. That just confirms to you that they're puppets. People put them there. In fact, when Thomas Sankara was killed, the guy who killed him said that the reason he was taken out was because what did he say? And I said he spoiled the relationship between them and their former colonizers, which is France. Just imagine that.
Yeah.
So the UN cannot help us. ECOWAS cannot help us. AU, African Union,
African Union.
cannot help us.
Yeah.
It's impossible. They can't do anything. It's the only thing we can do is for us to wake up as a people. That is the only solution. That is why we must keep preaching this message of consciousness, this of awakening. Once the people are awakened, fully awakened, that the game is over for both the puppets and the puppeteers. The game will be over for them. For as long as we still have weak minds among us, the weaklings, people who are being used, they use tribal and religious sentiments to, sway the people. As long as you have people who are still sleeping, then it will be it will be difficult for us to actually get this kind of cruel people out of power. Yeah.
Let me butt in quickly. So we're gonna have Theo, and soon after that we'll go into I'll give a little brief history between Bobi Wine and the Ugandan government, and we'll go into a little more detail in regards to that and call it an evening. Thank you all so much for being here, everyone in the chat. I will soon get to the comments. I see a ton of comments here. Theo, how are you doing today? And thank you for joining the conversation. Also, thank you for reading.
Sure. Akin. I can see you and you can't hide. I always look out for those clues in your videos. Thank you. Thank you for hosting this and allowing us to. Oh, sorry. Thank you for hosting this and allowing us to kind of like come in and talk about this. And I being a Ugandan myself, this kind of like
awesome. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, this hurts deeply. Seeing what happened because this was kind of like very unique, and we thought that there was actually change going to come, but then at the same time, what happened didn't really shock us because we're so used to this guy over winning the elections over and over again. So when all of this had happened, I kind of like thought about it and I asked myself, well, why could be there the actual reason why this guy stays in power? And I think I remember this from either someone mentioned this or I read it somewhere, but in the African politics, it's difficult for these African leaders to kind of like have a continuation of their political parties, or actually a continuation of their political careers, or like still get to live in a comfortable lifestyle after they've ended being president or things like that. So let's say that Museveni is no longer a president anymore. There's actually really nothing else for him to do. So maybe that's kind of like one of the things that encourage him to keep staying in power, because he has already had this comfort from he has already had this comfort from being president and having all these things. So there's nothing else for him to resort to afterwards. So if there were systems, if there was something that is kind of like brought up in parliament that allows these politicians to have their lives settled after doing such positions like this, maybe there'll be something that encourages them to kind of like leave after being after like losing. But then when they don't really have anything, they kind of like always have to have a reason to like stay. They may stay and keep enjoying all these benefits that this position is really bringing in.
Theo.
Yep.
I disagree with you completely.
Yeah, sure.
You know
Let
why?
me know. Yes.
Because for you to even run as a politician, it's not for a poor person. You have to be rich.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You get it. So they were not poor before they got to power. So surely they were doing something that got them money. And then I don't know about Uganda, but in Nigeria, for example, in Lagos State, after you serve your 8-year term as a governor, you get houses in your choice city, houses in anywhere you want in the country, 2 houses. You get change of cars every 6 years, brand new cars. You get paid pension.
Security detail.
After 8 years, you get almost everything you were getting as a governor. Our former presidents still get paid the same salary they were paid as president. So I don't see from your point of view that they have, but they have a lot to fall back on. Let's say compare them to a civil servant, a teacher who has worked for 35 years in Nigeria, for example, begs to get their pension. Some even die without getting the money. But these guys only serve for 8 years in power and they get all of these things, these benefits. So I don't think it's true that they have nothing to fall back on. They have a lot to fall back on. But it just boils down to greed.
That's true. That's a very good. Pardon?
You know,
that was a very good point that you mentioned. But in addition to that, despite the financial amenities that they may have afterwards, but like imagine a situation that these guys kind of like committed war crimes and then they lose the position that they've been, like the ICC is gonna go after these people. All these other international organizations of justice are gonna go after these people that they had the protection when they were, in these high political positions. So kind of, yes, that's exactly something that I would like really wanted to press on is that what if there are things that Museveni is very guilty of? Everyone's so, I mean, like for people who've seen the videos of the 1986, coup that happened, people were aware that there were actually child soldiers in there. There were a lot of things that happened that were not, that were against human rights. Maybe Museveni or any of the things that he has done in these years, 2005, the things that happened with LRA rebels, the conflict that we had with Joseph Kony, all that stuff. Like there could be details that he's not gonna be able to hide from when he loses this position. And
I get you.
When I think when we're kind of like talking about earlier on when we are discussing as how do we encourage people to like, speak up all these issues. In Uganda, the way we've been trying to do it with the protests and things like that, one of our biggest fears is the military, because when you have these protests happening, and it's kind of like the police gets in, and then then the military police gets in, and the military police is kind of like always careless because I don't think they have proper training in mediation, so they could like fire bullets up in the air, and then now people just run off and things like that. So that's one of the things that people are always kind of like afraid of, is that whenever you try to go and you protest, whenever you always get into trouble with the military. They'll capture you, they'll take you to safe houses, they'll arrest you and all these things. And the thing that was so terrible was this whole pandemic thing, because now it just kind of feel like they have a perfect excuse to arrest people for rounding up, in crowds. Be like, oh no, you guys are like, spreading the virus and things like that. That's like a perfect cover. So whenever we kind of like try to raise our voices in masses to really show our frustration, it just ends up, having a scene of the military police getting in and innocent people being killed. And so, that sucks most. But on the point when you had mentioned about kind of like awakening the consciousness of our people, that is actually true. And through music is definitely a good thing if we kind of like make people aware, if we talk about these issues, and people can like relate through those songs, and they, you know, get a little bit educated, you know, and then they'll actually understand the real fundamentals of democracy, why their voices need to be heard, you know. So in Uganda, it's kind of like crazy, because previously, I think it was in not 2016 elections, but I think it was 2011 elections, when Museveni, he released a song himself, and it was kind of like a very catchy song. I don't know if you guys are aware, but when people heard that, and then that was kind of like something that was used, you know, to capture the hearts of people. It's like, oh, Museveni is singing a song, and you know, so
Are
that
you
kind of
serious?
like, yeah, seriously,
I'm looking that up
seriously.
right now.
Seriously, so kind of like that is the state of my people, and it's kind of like very sad to see that it's so easy to fool my people, to like this guy just making a song, and then all of a sudden he wins people's hearts, you know. And I know not all of them might have voted for him, but then it kind of like blinds people from the real issues, that you are going to participate in re-electing this guy again, and you're not really sure what he's doing. Your democracy, your voices are being shut down, but then you're compromising just because he sang for you a song, you know. So definitely awakening the consciousness of our people is like really telling them the fundamentals of democracy, is that, well, is your voice being heard? Are you getting really what you want, you know? Yeah, so that's definitely something that we could really work on, is to educate our people so that they can really be more aware of the seriousness of what an election means. And if it's, you know, even though it's rigged again, how can then we protest those, you know, election results and say that, no, maybe we want you to actually hear our voices, you know, that this is what we want. We don't want you, you know. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Theo. Yeah, I believe you had something to say in regards to this, and we'll also go with you, Kadiri. But before we get to you guys, just I wrote a brief history between Museveni and Bobi Wine. So when Bobi Weinstein was 4 years old, that is when Museveni became president. I can't imagine knowing just one president since you were born, really. And I believe Bobi Wine is 30. How old is he?
37.
37? Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
39.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Yeah, that's crazy. So Bobby Wine has been very vocal in regards to third termism. Third termism, for those who are just coming in, is when African leaders seek to break the constitutional term limits in order to give themselves, extra terms. So Bobby Wine has been very vocal against Museveni's attempt towards third termism, and especially when Museveni removed the age limit for running for president back in 2019, I believe. There is a age limit in Uganda, or there was an age limit of 75 in Uganda until Museveni removed that in order to run for president again. He also charged Bobby Weinstein that year also. Bobby Weinstein protested in 2018 against Museveni's attempt of a social media tax. That's just extremely ridiculous.
Yeah.
We actually see that. We actually see that very evident in a lot of oppressive governments, including in Nigeria. The same thing, was attempted, not only to tax, the citizens for using social media, but to ban social media completely, because you're afraid of the uprising again of something like the End SARS movement. Sorry, go ahead, Emeka.
They called it hate speech bill.
Oh wow, that's what it's called. Okay, thank you very much. So in an attempt to so Bobi Wine was very vocal in of course going against social media attacks. In an attempt to arrest him, his driver was shot and killed. He was also tortured when he was arrested. And due to international pressure from social media, Bobi Wine was subsequently released, only to be rearrested on the same day on charges for inciting the public. That is very similar to essentially what happened with Sora in Nigeria. I think you had something to say, Moye, in regards to this topic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was going to say, just on the point Cleo was making about the leaders being not having something to do. Two things I want to kind of buttress, like add as an addendum to what he's already said, is definitely from what I've seen across, like even using Nigeria as an example, even other countries, it's one, they are scared of what is going to happen after they leave power. Hence, they cling to power and want more and more power.
Yeah.
The Senate's house chamber in Nigeria now is a retirement house. Basically, it's filled up with most former governors. They just go there to spend as much time as possible, and that's their retirement, collecting all manner of salaries and stuff, because they don't want to do anything else. They just want more and more power and more money. Now, I don't really believe it's about financial gains anymore. These people they have a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, pardon me. I muted you. I was trying to mute myself. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think is a lot around. Maybe they don't have activity to do, and that is not necessarily a system thing. It's more of them. They're lacking ideas. Okay, say in America, UK, other countries, for example, we all are aware of a clear path after someone leaves presidency. We know they're likely to write a book. Publishers are going to go after them. They're going to write a book, make millions of dollars or pounds from that book. We know they're going to be attending lectures. We know they're still going to be relevant in their parties. So there is almost like a clear career path of an ex-president in US, UK, and other places. I don't know about, maybe Trump's case might be different, but there's almost like a clear career path in the Western world of an ex-president. In Africa, they don't seem to be. So an ex-president of Nigeria, what do they usually do? You can see that they are trying to, there's no clear path. They are looking for stuff. And on top of that, they are bereft of ideas. Now, it's not about money. Check all those politicians who have a lot of money. What do they usually do with their money? Building hotels that most times, those hotels, we know they're not profitable. They're just looking for a way to dispose of the cash, buying all manner of cars that they don't drive, building resorts and all that kind of stuff. Many of them are not even enjoying the money. They don't even have ideas of what to do with the money. I was having a discussion with someone recently and saying, like, with all this money, why do they want so much to stay in that environment, not doing anything? Like, I don't find them doing like any charitable stuff. Like me, with all that money, people say, oh, what would they do and stuff like that. As I'm here, with all that money, there's so much to do that is life-fulfilling, especially at their ages. They could do a lot of charity stuff, travel the world and all that kind of stuff. But most of these people, they stay put where they are, building hotels. Check all the politicians after they leave office. Check, they're not doing any tangible thing. This includes local government chairmen, this includes governors and ex-presidents. They are hardly doing any tangible thing. They are bereft of ideas, and there's no clear path. Now, I don't want to necessarily support them, but maybe we can also consider some form of structure. Obviously, don't give them immunity because that will spoil everything. But maybe consider some form of structure, or maybe it takes one person with ideas to show an example of leaving office, writing a book, like proper one, not the one that they have a lot of lies in, writing a book or attending lectures and being of benefit to society. Because at the moment, after presidency, really and truly, they're not doing anything. So why would they not want, apart from being scared of being not done by ICC and all the criminal courts and all the crimes they've committed, apart from that scare, which Theo has said, they're also bereft of ideas of things to keep them going. So it's like after then, they're just waiting for death, really. So that's where I just wanted to push that out. Not that we have to find something for them, but you know, we're trying to discuss why do these people stay on for so long. It's like saying why does someone be in a job, they don't like that job, they're staying in that job forever. Some part of it is because maybe they don't have idea of what next to do. So they just find themselves stuck in that place. So that's
You know, you also mentioned, in the earlier conversation that we had, of how once you're in a position of leadership, it's stressful. Being in a position of leadership is not for everyone. We've all been in a position of leadership and wanted to give it up ASAP, but and that is, of course, as you said, because you're doing something, it's not easy, being in these positions. But when you're not doing anything, when you're taking the power, misusing it, that's when you sit and poo.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, like,
Yeah.
my potential solution to this is to take away, first of all, especially in Nigeria, we're being paid too much. This isn't something that you should want to do. If it's something that costs you, which is supposed to cost you, because you're being called to serve. It's something that should be honorable. It's something that you should go to knowing that this is about to be the most stressful point of time in your life. I recently watched one of Obama's exiting videos of how they're like 4 more years, 4 more years, and he was like, nope, nope, nope. The man didn't want to. No one should want to. So just taking away a lot of these amenities. I'm confusing the word that I'm trying to use here, but definitely reducing the pay, taking away the luxuries of being a politician in Africa is definitely a solution to that, because you'll definitely have to spend your money, in order to run your elections. And if the office is not as lucrative as you want, that will funnel out everyone else who doesn't have passion for the office and only retain those that actually have, Africa and their country inside of their hearts. That's just my little solution towards this.
yeah. Also, sorry, Akin, if I may say, because this thing is multi-dimensional. When you talk about Africa's issues, like it's so much. But if you just look at it a different way, I think it was quite important to also point out the process before the person gets there. The process is so rubbish that the end point cannot be good. When I was in school, there's a lecturer of mine that used to say, if the gari is bad, no matter how hot the water is, the eba will be bad. So if the process is bad, no matter how good even the person is, the outcome will be bad. So in these countries, the electoral system is messed up. The president is the one appointing the referee of the election. What do you expect? Already now, take Nigeria again, for example, the next election is 2023. Now they are appointing INEC officials. The last time I heard, Buhari appointed one of his former officials, one of his former appointees. Tell me in 2 years' time, this was last year. So in 2 years' time, what do you think that person is going to do in INEC? Of course, the bidding of the guy that put him there. It's like appointing Supreme Court judges that you know they favor a certain policy. Of course, it's all strategy. So 2023 election Nigeria is already being determined from now. So when you get to 2023, we now start wondering, where did they go wrong? It didn't go wrong in 2023. It started going wrong right after the previous election. So as much as we shout about election process being bad, we should start shouting when the elements that they use to rig the election starts, which starts from those INEC officials. Who are they? What did they do before? What is their pedigree? Why is the former INEC official, INEC chairman, being reinstated again? He's been a good boy to them, so they are reinstating him for the next good job that he's going to do for them. So it starts far before the election. I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, and can I say something?
Go ahead, please.
Yes, to add on to what exactly he has just said about, you know, the predetermined outcomes of the elections, something like that similar has happened in Uganda when they were trying to change the constitution for the age limit. It's actually, I think he confessed it, he himself, Museveni, they had to get in agents, either these were like military men or maybe people from the, you know, security organization to get into parliament, and they had to like overturn the rule in order to favor the policy for him to still run as the president even after 75 years. The good compromise of that policy was actually that they entirely removed the age limit. That one of our candidates, presidential candidates, was actually 24 years old. So they completely got rid of age, and anyone at any age, I guess, can become a president. So one of the contestants for the president was actually 24 years old on that. So one of the things that they do when they kind of like predetermine in order to favor that political parties, that they send in people who you never know, these people are just so rogue, you know, they you know, you don't know, they're undercover or something like that, and they like always have the ability to overturn a policy. So even that itself is going to be kind of like very difficult, because looks like now the problem is the entire parliament, the people who set up the policies. So it goes even further deeper than that. And also on the point where you say that we can have, you know, structures to allow these guys, you know, to continue doing good work even after they're, you know, after they've, you know, finished their presidential, you know, positions. For an example, like Thabo Mbeki, let's actually look at South Africa. South Africa has seemed to have a very stable democracy, and from Thabo Mbeki, for him, as soon as he got done with his term, he set up this Thabo Mbeki Foundation. It was inspired by the passion that he has himself, that even had when he was, you know, being the president. He wanted Africans to think different, and that idea of the African Renaissance, you know, started with Mr. Thabo Mbeki, and he's still continuing doing it up to right now. One of the universities in South Africa opened up an institution, you know, under his name, and, you know, the Thabo Mbeki Foundation itself runs that, so they can, you know, keep on inspiring young leaders to kind of like think different, not think, you know, the Western way. So in the case of like Museveni, since he's so, you know, military, and, you know, his entire life has been about, you know, a military career, maybe a structure for him could be, okay, well, how can you, you know, stay serving in the military so that you can, you know, improve the operations of the military. So things kind of should be, could be like that. It's like, what is each president, you know, passionate about, and we allow them to have platforms to continue, you know, inspiring those things that they are passionate about.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Theo.
Yeah, sure.
So, Emeka, you mentioned of how like Nigeria provides the optimum breeding ground for corruption to be nurtured, where we see, our leaders going around being recycled through a form of like musical chairs. Yeah, Nigeria does provide the optimum breeding ground for corruption to be nurtured. Monier, you recently mentioned of how oh, excuse me, just lost my train of thought. um Kadiri, I think you had something to say. Hopefully what I was thinking comes back to me.
Okay. So I want to ask, this is more of, I want to ask a question. Now, do you guys think that people who become leaders, they enter with good intentions, but somewhere along the line of being in power, they get derailed from their original intent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Fundamental lack of checks and balances. And the checks and balances is due to a faulty form of government. Our constitution, we can't even call it a constitution because it's being manipulated at will. When one can, make themselves the entire government, therefore annihilating, every other department, taking away the justice system. Of course, Uganda is a very good example of this. Looking at the current election, who can go against Museveni? But if I believe it was Museveni, when I was doing my research earlier on, where he mentioned of how we're only gonna stay here through the military coup. He mentioned of how we're only going to stay here until we establish until we establish the first democratic election. But of course, the reverse. Sorry, it was Yaya Jammeh of the Gambia, not Uganda. But a similar scenario with a lot of various African countries, where through the military coup, they mentioned of how we're only staying here to establish a democratic election. After that, we'll leave. But just looking at the form of government, how porous it is, and how the Constitution is manipulated at will, a lot of these people, once they experience the power, it becomes increasingly difficult to leave. And it's really just human behavior. Those who lack self-control and a deep sense of who they are can easily be influenced by the power. In Nigeria, we can see a scenario of a young politician becoming a governor, for example, right? And you're doing things the right way. You're getting your normal paycheck, and then you're seeing your colleagues, other governments, driving a Maserati, Bugattis. Of course, these are fraudulent. We know like they get their money fraudulently, and just seeing that it's not necessarily an inequality there, but just seeing your colleagues, seeing the fraudulent wealth that is being generated there. Only a special person with a deep sense of purpose and a deep conviction for the continent and the progression of the continent can thrive, because a lot of African countries provide a good system for corruption to be nurtured.
Yes.
So if I may just jump into that, I think for me, the answer would be yes and no. But in the most part, it will be no, i.e., they don't have good intentions of going there. They are in the most part, they are businessmen who invest in the election process to get to the elections, so as they can make profit for themselves and for those who enable them to get there. That's one. To just push that a little bit further, this also applies to even Western countries. I mentioned it earlier that even in Western countries, the US, the UK, Germany, all of them, many of them are business people as well. They may have been put there by big corporations so that they can implement the policies they want, and then together they make profit they want. Now, the bigger difference with Africa is that even though they enter with that intention, the environment allows them to be even worse. It's like, I get it before, it's like when they say power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. By the time you get there, you see that this thing is just so easy to just withdraw money from the central bank. Nobody's saying anything. No national protest. No threat of impeachment from the House, obviously because they are corrupt. Of course, he would just be withdrawing money left, right, and center. Now, these people, they use the central banks as their personal banks. The central bank government is just like, just sign that check. They just write it. In fact, I'm sure they even just sign checks in advance, and the guy just puts the number he wants. So, yes, they all enter the same way. So I enter as president of Nigeria. This one enters as president of Germany. We all entered as business people, but the German one is more difficult to be corrupt. It'll still be corrupt because they're all corrupt around the world. It will still be corrupt, but we find it a bit more difficult to be corrupt than the Nigerian one. The Nigerian one is just so easy to be corrupt. So even the few that go into positions with a good mind, most of those will still become bad. Because even angels, sometimes when you put some of those angels there, just like in the story of the bad angel falling from heaven to become devil, that angel will become devil when he see the amount of luxuries and freebies all over the place.
That means that the system is broken on a very fundamental level. I like the analogy that you gave of it being business and them making an investment, and they expect a big return on that investment. So because again, if you look at the former president of the US, he was a businessman before all of this. So, and then there are many other presidents too who have, who are big investors and former CEOs and all of that before they even, became politicians. So now, we as the people now, we need to, I feel like we should look for solutions, what we can just do. We can't do everything, but I feel like we need to at least start with something. And someone mentioned, educating people. And I think, yes, we need to give people knowledge that they can apply, knowledge that they can put into practice in their life. So if anyone has anything to share along that line for people to hear, that would be good. And it can be anything that can just help, anything that can help, anything that people can do to, to make sure that they are informed so that the way they do things is better for them in the long run. Because yes, the politicians are few, but the politicians are few, but the people are many. So whatever we can do ourselves, to better ourselves, to change the situation one step at a time.
Can I say something again?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, so exactly on the question that he has just asked, that exactly what can we do? It has reminded me of the question someone who had commented earlier on when he said that can a common person become a leader? And I think what if being a high level leader is not like necessarily the solution? How about if we like try to come up with, they say that you're going to be a business leader, you're going to be a leader in the medical field, you're going to be a leader in the music industry. What if we find a way of like, giving those people who are experts in the fields that they like to be, to have like the voice or the platforms that, kind of like be driving the change anyways? Because if government is this tricky to get around with in order to change, how can we like, instead raise up leaders who are like business people who are going to take care and proper advantage of like the African continental free trade area and say that, you know what, let's become experts in this thing and let's do it so well for our people. And then, we have leaders in the business area that are, normal civilians, and they don't have to be politicians, who are doing so well in that field. We have a consortium, or maybe a group of people who are like health experts, who do investments in, say, okay, how can we improve the health, of our people, other than always having to wait for the government to, be giving the solutions. So when someone say that, can a commoner, rise to power and be a leader, even though it's very difficult, even though even government is like a small process, why don't we, dream differently and say that, okay, let's just take a different approach and be leaders in the things that we are passionate about. Passionate about music, raise a big, musical platform, and they use that music to kind of like, tell stories, or to educate people about civics. If it's engineering, then you be the one to set up the manufacturing farms, and you be the one driving the change. So can that seem to be like a solution if changing government is going to be really tricky?
Yes, I think I like what you suggested, and you mentioned health, and because me, personally, I'm very, very passionate about the health, healing, and agriculture, and I can see that there is also, if you look at Nigeria for example, there is some kind of perversion of politics into how agriculture functions in Nigeria. So I actually agree that if we start taking control of all these little separate sectors, if we start getting people there who have the common man's interest, the common woman's interest at hand, then it may help change the situation one step at a time.
Okay.
Go ahead, Emeka.
Well, I think everyone has spoken well. I think at this point we are at the point of somebody said Pobia must go. Yeah,
Our man needs to
Pobia,
leave, man. It's about time. It's about
Pobia must
time.
go. Let me quickly say that a lot of people don't even understand what's happening in Cameroon. People are dying in Cameroon. There's like a silent war going on in
Definitely.
Cameroon, and it's really what's really sad for me. The Cameroonian issue is that these people are really fighting because of colonial languages. That for me, I don't even know what to say. Like when I look at the issue of Cameroon, I just get tired. People are fighting over colonial languages. I am Francophone, you are Anglophone. None of you were ever Francophone or Anglophone before colonization. What happened to your culture? Where is your root?
Over
Your heritage? Who were you before they told you you were Francophone? Who were you? So if they can go back to who they were and how it all began, I think there will be a solution. That is why history is also very important. So Pobia must go, but it will take a whole lot to make Pobia go. So people of Cameroon, our heart goes out to you because a lot of genocide going on in Cameroon currently that people are not even aware of. Our heart goes out to you. Please try to be strong, guys. So I think we're at the point to talk about the solutions. And as I've always said, my own solution is for the people to rise up and demand accountability. There is nothing there is nothing else we can do aside from that. That's just the truth. When the French were tired of their institution, they had French Revolution. So there must be an African revolution, or maybe individual countries. And that is why the idea of Pan-Africanism, should be brought to light in this era. So when something is happening in Uganda, don't say it's Uganda. I don't care about Uganda. No. You should care about Uganda because Ugandans are African.
Exactly.
If it's happening in Nigeria, don't say I don't care about Nigeria. It's not about my business. If it's happening in Equatorial Guinea, don't say I don't care. In fact, many people don't know that in Equatorial Guinea, the father is the president, the son is the vice president. It's a family business.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it became a family business.
Yeah.
Mm.
And interesting, in Uganda,
And the guy,
Museveni is the president, and the son is leader
his
of
wife is
special
the finance
forces.
minister.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
And,
Yeah.
yes, Museveni is the president, his son is the chief of army staff, his wife is the finance minister, and his
Yeah.
cousins are all over the place.
And
You know, it's
no,
just crazy. This is what
at its highest order.
On that note,
this is
I
what
want to thank Brother Akin, because you speak not just about Nigeria, but you speak about other countries, and like we need to see more of that. Like Brother Emeka was saying, if it's happening, don't say, "Oh, because it's another country, it's not your problem." That's not the attitude to have, because we all need to help. I believe there's strength in numbers, and if all the people in sub-Saharan Africa have one goal, have one mindset to be free, to be truly free, not fake freedom, but to be truly free, we need to stick together. We need to speak up for one another. And I will say, while I'm at it, I may just say supporting organizations or movements at the local level that speak for the common man or the common woman's interest. For example, in Nigeria, I want to use IPOB as an example. I believe indigenous people of Biafra, and Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is their spokesperson, is their leader. So movements like that speak for the liberation of Igbo people, for example, in Nigeria is a good. I'm using Nigeria again as an example, is a good thing. Now, in the Southwest, so many of you may have heard of Hamotekun, the leopard, the leopard security organization. Yes, things like that, movements and organizations like that protect the interest of the people, of the everyday person.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, the government is not happy with IPOB. They don't like something like that. We can see it. The government also doesn't like something like Amuteku. That's just what's we are seeing every day. They don't like stuff like, because it only takes one spark, just one light of a matches to burn down an entire forest. So when they see something like that, they want to snuff it out quickly before it turns into something that they cannot control. So
okay.
yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so as I was saying about the solution, it lies with the people generally. You can't expect the people who are oppressing you to bring forth policies or solutions to the problem, because they're actually enjoying the problem. So what we can do, number one thing, is for us to know our history. Without knowing our history, it's actually impossible to effect any change. You know, most of us in Africa, we are just like clones, walking clones. So some have their allegiance with the Arabs, some with the Europeans, and Africa is divided. Somebody was talking about they don't go to North Africa. It's because those people have allegiance, with Arabs. And who controls the Arabs? The West. So it's still the same chain running around. So you need to understand the way it goes. Even though people in this our part of Africa, the Arabs don't have that direct influence. From there, it's still the chain from North Africa to Arabs down again to the West. So it's still the same chain flow. So people need to know the history. How did we get to where we are today? Who can if you ask an average African, how did we get here? They don't even know, because, for example, in Nigeria, history has been expunged from school. They don't want people to know the history.
Yes.
How can the
Yes.
country remove history from school?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They don't teach
once
history in
we
secondary
know
school.
the history, once we know how we got to where we are today, that is how we can begin to bring up solutions. So if people of Cameroon know their history, they won't be fighting over Anglophone and Francophone languages. They won't. People are dying every day because of language. You get what I'm saying? So once we know our history, we know where we are, then we can begin to effect changes. And then again, speaking on leadership level, yeah, being a leader where you are and all of those rhetorics, I accept that it's a good idea. But again, if we do not have an enabling environment, it's actually impossible for these things to thrive. And who create an enabling environment is the government. If you have a lot of money today, you want to construct a road in Nigeria, the government will not allow you to do it.
Yeah.
That's the level to this. If you have a lot of money on your own, and let's say you are Dangote and you want to construct a road, the government will stop you from constructing that road. They won't do it, but they won't allow you to do it.
Wickedness in high places.
That's the level of evil we are talking about. So if you are saying be a leader in your own, it's good to do that. But then again, the government must create an enabling environment. In fact, the government don't create jobs. Their own duty is to create an enabling environment, basic infrastructures, healthcare, security. These things attract investors. Those things are not available. So the people need to be. We need to keep doing what we are doing right now to awaken the people. Only the revolution of the people can solve all of this across different African countries. And I want to say this: do not allow yourself to be divided along religious and tribal lines, because that is one of the strongholds these leaders use on the people.
For sure.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
are the strongholds. They tell you, I am Muslim, I am Christian, I am Igbo, I am Hausa, I am Ewe, I am from this ethnic group,
We're
I am
African.
your vote for me. But that's not true. Your only tribe is the person who wants the best for you. So it doesn't matter if the person is a Muslim or a Christian. That's not the point. What do they have to offer? So we must awaken our people to the level that when they tell you I'm Igbo, you say yes, and so what? You're Igbo. So what should I do about that? What do you have to offer? Not where you come from. What do you have to offer? So we must make content, video content, social media, local campaigns, come together. And the thing is that it's a continuous effort. Please, what we are talking about now might not happen in the next century. Please don't think that what we are saying now will happen in the next 10 years. I'm sorry. With the level of rot I'm seeing today in the African countries, it will take up to 500 years. But then what we are doing now is laying the foundation.
Yeah.
It's laying the foundation for the next generation. We cannot see this African success. It's impossible. Just get your mind off that. But we are sacrificing our time to lay the foundation, do the groundwork, so that the next generation will have somewhere to start from and build from. That's all we are doing right now.
It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart so much that you're saying that, because I also have the same belief too.
Oh.
The change, man, just the amount of issues facing the continent, it's enormous. It is enormous. I'm doing, I learned every day, in regards to Africa, whatever it is to know, I want to know it. And just, it gets overwhelming at times. It get really, really overwhelming. And sometimes I just ask myself, like, is this even worth it? Like, exactly when are we gonna see this change? Because it's so many things going on, so many things. And I'm still learning about more things going on. And what Emeka said, I definitely do side with that. This is all a foundation for our children to build on and to affect the change themselves, because the generation of our parents, they have failed us. They have failed us tremendously.
Well, that is
And the last thing I want
kind
to
of
say
agree.
is that we must preach Afrocentrism.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
We're not Nigerians, not Ghanaians. We are Africans first. I'm sorry to cut you off and make I apologize. Sorry, go ahead.
We are Africans first before your Ghanaian, before your Igbo, and all of those things. We must, because like Dr. Arikana said, the most dangerous thing to an African now is an African with an Eurocentric mind. Let me give you an example. John Bede Bokassa used to be the Prime Minister of Central African Republic. This man had a mentor who was a Westerner, and he wanted to be like him, an emperor. Do you know that this man spent more than half of the country's budget to crown himself an emperor? He built big chair. He wanted to look at like that European emperor. He built a big chair and all of those things, bought robes, invited people all over the world because he wanted to become an European. Just look him up. You shed tears.
Yeah. Oh, man.
We need to stop people from selling our countries to
You will shed tears.
nations.
Right? And today's Central African Republic, the capital city is like a village.
Yeah.
These things, the issues are just so overwhelming that when you think about them, you almost go crazy. And when I look at my channel, I'll be like, should I just stop this and just do something funny? Because at times it gets to me. I mean, like, why am I even doing this? It's crazy. It's crazy. But those are the issues we are facing. So we must preach Afrocentrism regarding our true history as a people. Who were we before all of this began? Who were we?
Emeka, I'm really excited that you're mentioning history, and you guys here definitely check out Emeka's channel. I have it posted in the chat, and also Monye's channel. Also, we talk about African history, and I truly believe that this is the first step. This is the first inclination towards us unlearning everything that we have been taught in schools about Africa, because we need an identity for ourselves. Because we're over here adopting everyone else's identity because we don't know our identity. We're not taught these things in schools. Everything that I know today, none of them I learned in school. Nothing. I didn't learn anything about Nigerian history in Nigeria. Nothing. Every Nigerian should know about Frederick Lugard.
Yes, Flora, sure.
Right? We should all know about them, but we're not taught them in schools. No wonder we have monuments of them, praising them like a hero. This is someone that killed tens of thousands of Nigerians. This is the person who is responsible today why there is a vast difference between northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria. And every single Nigerian today is facing the consequences of Frederick Lugard's decisions. Yet we have him. We have monuments to him. We have streets named after him. The Kogi State Government House is named the Lord Lugard House. What does that mean? We have a monument of him next to the Nigerian flag.
We don't
a monument of the worst, of the most diabolical person to Nigeria. We have him next to the Nigerian flag. in a manner to celebrate him. Not knowing your history, it's nothing short of silliness. Not knowing your history, really. Emeka posted something on his Facebook page, and I'll actually be doing a video on it very soon, in regards to like silly comments a lot of Africans make, and those comments, just seeing them, not only does that break your heart, but it's like, what are you gonna do about it? The comment was of someone saying, if you want to be a true African, give up your clothes, and run around naked like a true African, return your clothes back to the white man, as if we're not worried.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Not knowing your history, that is where everything starts, because it renews your mind and it channels you towards a path where you can actually build on something, where we can actually progress. I really
So
appreciate that,
last thing I want to say, the last thing I want to say is that I think all of us here knows that Africa is really blessed.
for sure,
We've got
man.
everything here.
Yes,
We've got
the most
everything
blessed.
here. The atomic bomb that the USA used on in Japan, in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the uranium used was gotten from Congo.
Yeah.
And then, as of today, no African country has a nuclear power plant, not even one. Today, we are talking about electric cars, mobile phones, and all of those tech. Well, cobalt, which is used to produce lithium battery, 80% of cobalt is from Congo. We talk about coltan, used to make our iPhones and aircraft part and everything about tech you can talk about. Coltan, also 80% in Congo. Talk about gold. 1/4 of the world's gold is in Africa. I can't be mentioning all the resources, but Africa is truly blessed, and this is why Africa is a hub. It's like a raw material hub for the whole world, and that is why Africa is so disorganized. For example, Congo, that has almost all the resources the world needs right now. Congo has been at war since forever.
Yeah.
And the UN has done nothing to tell that the UN is a scam. Congo
The
has
UN
been
has
at war.
the UN has probably the most dominant presence than any
Yes,
other
in
group.
Congo.
The UN
But the
is
Congo
active in
has
Congo.
not known peace. They've not known peace. So the bottom line is that the world wants us, the world does not want us, but the world wants our resources.
Yes.
So
The
it's
man
left for
said that
us,
exactly that in a
left
video.
for us as African people to wake up, because the people they are using to get to us are actually these leaders we are talking about. People like Museveni, Paul Biya, Buhari. These are the people they are using to get to us. And these leaders use religion and tribe to get to we, the real ones. And that is hard, and that's the chain. So if we people can wake up, we break the chain from the Musevenis, then to the bigger ones who are outside our continent. We can now be free. That is the only thing we can do. So we have to keep preaching this awakening. Wherever you are, I try my best. Even though I work, I try my best to preach this message. Preach the awakening message. Preach the awakening message. Don't preach message to ethnic divides. That's not what we need now. Now, I'm not saying that we should be united. There's this unity. People think when I say united, they think all Africans should be one. That is not factual. We were never one. Now, but we can be one economically.
Yeah.
Economically one, not culturally one. It's impossible. For example, Igbos and Hausas can never be one. It's unrealistic. But these people can work in a separate country effectively. They can complement each other.
Yeah.
Well, so we must understand this fact too. So economically, we can be one, like coming together as an economic force, trading among each other and exporting. Like I see some goods made in the European Union. You don't know which of the countries there, but that's them coming together as an economic force, pushing a product. So it can be made in Africa.
Yeah,
you get what I'm trying to say? So, let's get that part. So the only thing that we as a people must wake up, please, wherever you are, preach African history, preach African preach awakening. Let people know what's going on. And as we keep doing this, we hope to awaken more people. And that's the only way, I tell you, that's the only way we can get these criminals out of power. Thank you very much, guys.
Exactly. Actually, to say something to Emeka, to you and Mr. Akin, thank you guys for actually what you're doing. You teaching us a lot about African history, and the stuff that you guys do on your channels has actually, inspired me to learn about the good things about Africa. So thank you guys for the efforts that you've already put in your YouTube channels to do that.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. On that thing of the, thinking all together as Africa, I know sometimes it's like so big because, Africa is big itself in size, so many cultures and things like, and, so many tribes, so many different languages. The way to kind of like, make it small or easy to hold, just think of Africa as like one village. This is your village. This is your home. This is where you can get to have your freedom. So at least, you're protecting your village. At least if you think of it in that way, it will not overwhelm you in how, big the size is. So that's kind of the image that I put in my mind to think of Africa as in like this one village. It's your home.
Thank you all so much. We are inching the 2-hour mark. My goodness. We still have 16 people here. You guys are so amazing. I definitely appreciate you all so much for spending this time with us. It means the world. We had a member that wasn't able to make it today, Felicit. I'll also leave her channel down for us. Please check out her channel also in regards to Congo. She talks about Congo and how Congo is the heartbeat of Africa. In my opinion, Congo is like a smaller version of Africa as a whole. Definitely check out Moye's channel. Very inspirational work done in regards to Africa. He makes awesome content. Of course, and Emeka also. And does anyone have any closing remarks?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, guys. When Emeka talked about Thomas Sankara earlier on in the beginning, I kind of like also want to like bring this out to kind of like keep on encouraging you guys. He left this statement that should kind of like remain in us and to keep us going. And he said, "You cannot carry out fundamental change without a certain amount of madness." In this case, it comes from non-conformity, the courage to turn your back on the old formulas, and the courage to invent the future. So let's learn that from Thomas Sankara when he told us that we're gonna have to like think without the box in order to change, Africa. So I hope that encourages you guys.
Definitely. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. That was deep.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to say that in terms of when we make content, like the guys were saying, the guys on my left and right were saying that sometimes it gets overwhelming, like the issues of Africa, and you just think, is it really worth it? Like my contribution is so small that is this going to make any change? Now, I find myself in a situation, I'm sure many other people find themselves in similar situation. I just want to encourage myself and everyone else to say, just keep putting in that little effort you're putting in. Personally, I found that there was a lot of knowledge gap a lot of my fellow Africans didn't know who they were and didn't have the like the enlightenment to go forward. And this kept them in slavery. That's what inspires my YouTube channel. So if you check my YouTube channel, you see that it's all about education. And I was similar. I didn't learn these things in school. So as I learned it, I thought, okay, let me share it with other people. And I'm still learning and I'm still trying to share it. In order, because I found a lot of my fellow Africans, able-bodied, look around you, you see Africans, able-bodied, smart, correct people, but mentally very broken.
For sure, yeah.
Know who they are. So we really need to continue every little video, every little conversation, every little forum like this, every little message that we can, as much as possible. Let's keep encouraging each other, and gradually the change will come. Now, I don't think it will take as long as Emeka was saying, 100 years or 500 years.
I hope not, man.
I hope not. I really hope not, because I want to change in my lifetime.
For sure.
Before I die, I need to.
I would wish it would be quicker, but that means we need to work harder. So we just need to, including myself and all of us, I think let's just double our effort. Let's just quadruple our effort in terms of making this change and call out each other when we try to deviate. So I like the way Emeka straight away came in with the One Africa thing, when I think he noticed there was a bit of, he wanted to stray into, oh, this side, no. And then he straight away came in there to say One Africa. And if you check, like, my name now is My Dear African. I don't even consider myself Nigerian, because Nigeria is a word that was coined by some foreigner. I don't even know why we're called Nigeria. So I feel embarrassed
Nigerian. By his girlfriend.
Yeah, sure. A friend that doesn't even know anything. Why are they calling us Nigeria? Anyway, so that's that. The last thing I was going to say is for Uganda, I want to encourage you guys and anyone else that is listening to say that these things don't happen at once. So don't lose faith that, oh, maybe this guy didn't win, or the change you were expecting didn't come this time. Like the example I gave the first time, sometimes when you are breaking a rock, it's not even sometimes, most times when you're breaking a rock, it's not going to crack at the first hit. So consider this to be a first or second hit. It might take 100 hits. It might take 50. Let's just keep going at it. At least this shows that the people have a voice. This shows as an example that at least it's possible to even challenge this man. That is even possible. I'm sure even before now, people thought, don't worry. Why are you wasting your time? You're never going to, have the money to do a campaign. You're never going to be able to challenge him. The army is just going to arrest you, or this will happen or that will happen. This at least serves as an example that it is possible to even challenge him first. Then we'll move to the next level. It's just like this NSAS stuff. Initially, who would have thought the government would even listen and ban SARS? I know they didn't proper ban it, but who would have even thought they would even do it in the theoretical form they did? But it shows that it's possible. So maybe the next time it goes further, and that's the hitting at the rock I said. So my fellow Ugandans, my fellow Africans, don't give up, don't lose hope. Go harder even next time. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maye. Any other closing remarks?
Yes, I would like to.
Yes,
say,
to my fellow. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, I would like to say that please learn again. Just to reemphasize, learn Africans. Please learn your history. You need to know where you're coming from in order to know where you're going. Please, it's good to support brothers like Brother Emeka and Akin and our other brother with the My Dear Africa project. We need people like this. We need people like this. It's important to listen, take the information, verify it. You may learn something new along the way. And the people, knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. If you don't know, you will perish. What you don't know can kill you. So don't just say, oh, because I don't have anything to do with this, and no, we don't need to think like that. And again, so we need to know, knowledge is power. So, and then to our brothers and sisters in Uganda, again, just like Brother Akin said, and the rest of you, keep pushing. I like to say Nigerians have the ability to amplify something. Even though the thing was originally small, there's just something about Nigerians that we can take something from, maybe it's from another country or somewhere, or it's from us. If it was small, we just make it big, and it's everywhere. The whole world is aware of it. So
yeah,
Ugandans keep pushing, and I know that we will keep, making our voices heard, our plights heard to each other. And I believe, before any of us passes on, I believe we will see change, or at least a stepping stone to change. I want to be optimistic. So yeah.
Yes, it's good to be optimistic. I hope we see change in our lifetime.
yeah.
I truly hope we see change in our lifetime. But it's not realistic. But yes, it's good to be optimistic sometimes. So yes, let's just keep pushing. And I want to encourage you as an African, wherever you are, you have greatness within you. I know that the people in power have been, put there to put you down to make sure that you don't rise. Even at that, we still see Africans who go outside Africa. For instance, the current highest paid robotic engineer in the world is a 29-year-old Nigerian, the highest paid robotic engineer in the world. Who would ever thought?
That's
Even
amazing.
though he's schooled in the UK, because there's no enabling environment here in Nigeria. We heard the story of a boy from Sierra Leone. When he was 11, he built a radio station. I'll make that video very soon on my channel. He built a radio station that could transmit. He literally built this. He picked stuff from garbage, even though now he is now 21, I think. But unfortunately, he now lives in Canada because no enabling environment. But when he was 11, he built that radio station that was transmitting. So imagine if we have the environment that will keep those brains here. Imagine what would have happened. I mean, we've heard of the Nigerian doctor who operated on the baby in the womb, brought the baby out, and did a surgery, put the baby back, and the mother gave birth to the baby after 9 months. A Nigerian doctor. So, as an African, there's greatness within you. I want you to be encouraged, just keep pushing. Whatever you're doing, keep pushing, but make sure you try to put Africa first. Be your brother's keeper,
Yeah.
in all you do. And then to my Ugandan people, it's such a pity because I love Ugandans. When I was in Dubai, I met a lot of Ugandans, and they are really peaceful people. I'm not sure I saw anywhere Ugandans were making trouble throughout my stay. The years I spent in Dubai, I'm not sure I saw anywhere. They are really peaceful people. They only want to just work and be fine. And it's really saddens my heart that in Uganda, in Dubai, I see a lot of young Ugandan women coming there to do that terrible job. I don't want to say it. There are a lot of them there, and it's so terrible, so terrible. I just want you to know that our heart is with you guys, and as you keep fighting, we also will keep doing our best, posting about it, and keep letting the world know. But please don't give up. Like my brother said, he said that you have to keep hitting the rock until it break. Don't say because now this guy has won, Museveni has won, it's all over. No, this is the time to begin the work. The grassroots work should begin from now. Don't wait till the next election. Because that's what we do in Africa. We forget easily. Once it happens, we forget about it, and we wait. When it's 2 years to election, we start running around. We should start now. The grassroots work should start now in Uganda. You get what I'm saying? The enlightenment should continue. It shouldn't stop. You should keep telling the people it should be like the way people preach about Jesus. I wish we could preach about this thing, the way we preach about Jesus and Muhammad in Africa. Because we also, so much every day, people are shouting Jesus, every corner, Jesus, Allah, every corner. If we can preach about stuff like this, the way we preach about those stuff, I'm telling you, everybody will know about them. So please, keep pushing. Don't relent at all. This, in fact, we know that Bobi Wine won the election. It's clear. So this is an evidence that at least the people have responded. I believe that if you start now, by the next time, it will be a technical knockout. It will be a knockout. So please don't relent, and we are with you. And thank you guys for having me. My page is One Africa Project on Facebook, also on YouTube, One Africa Project. And I hope very soon, like my brother Moye thinks, that we will see results very soon. Thank you guys.
Thank you all so much for being here. Speaking of creating an enabling environment, Emeka currently makes videos from Nigeria, which is not easy. A lot of his videos take up to 2 days to upload. These are amongst the difficulties faced, you know, in Nigeria when it comes to content making. There are 13 of us here. Guys, I promise you, you'll not regret it. Emeka's channel is awesome. He makes beautiful, beautiful content. You guys can definitely, well, I'll have the link also in the chat. Well, I already have the link in the chat, but I'll also have it in the discussions for anyone who is watching this in live replay. But let us help create an enabling environment for our content creators in Africa currently. We can all head over to currently the chat and click on the 2 links that are there, and check out Emeka's channel, One Africa Project. Check out Monye's channel, My Dear African. These are really, really excellent content creators. Let's get Emeka up to 1,000 subscribers, please. That is my closing remark, actually. Thank you all so much for being here. Your presence here means a lot. Thank you all so much for spending this time with me. 14 of us here. This is massive, and this far exceeded what I actually expected. So thank you all so much for being here. This means a lot. I'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good one again.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.